This is more than just about coal. In the past year, we've come to realize that the Port Authority is an unaccountable, aloof, and out-of-touch organization. And they have big, big plans for a region that are going to take away farmland, destroy habitat, and change our communities and our climate for all time to come. The worst thing about this, they think they have the power to do it without asking us. They don't care if their dreams don't match our aspirations. And instead of honest, open consultation, they give us fancy TV commercials. Instead of a seat at the table, they give us smartphone apps and Facebook pages and Twitter accounts. You know, I don't want to follow the Port Authority on Twitter, and I don't want to like them on Facebook. I want them to take our concerns seriously, and I want them to give us a seat at the table. But the thing that's given us a lot of hope is that when we've lifted our heads up from this work over the past year, we've realized that there's lots of other groups working on the same issues or working on related issues. People protecting habitat, people protecting farmland, people trying to stop jet fuel from going down the Fraser River, people trying to stop the expansion of container ports, people trying to stop more oil tankers coming out of our port. We've realized that we're all in this together and we're fighting the same issue. A lot of those groups are here today, and they've supported this rally, and we want you to know who they are. So we're going to just give a shout out to those groups right now. And raise your hand if you're with that group and you don't have a table set up, because we want people to know who you are so they can meet you. So Against Port Expansion and Citizens Against Port Expansion, I think you might see them up there on the top. They're working on the Terminal 2 issue. Good work, you guys. Burns Bog Conservation Society. There's folks in Burns Bog Conservation Society today here. The coal trains to Fraser Surrey Dock will run right through Burns Bog. Coal Dust-Free Salish Sea, a new group based out of Lasqueti and Texada Island. They're fighting the issue from that end of the strait. Is anyone here from that group today? Thanks for all your work. The Council of Canadians, Delta and Richmond chapter, they're on board with this too. Fighting port expansion, fighting highway expansion, fighting the South Fraser Perimeter Road. The Farmland Defence League of BC, with people like Harold Steves on board. This is an important group to save our farmland. Fraser Riverkeeper, working to preserve the vitality and health of the most important salmon river in the world. We don't need coal ports on this salmon river. Kids for Climate Action, probably the most important youth-led climate action group in Metro Vancouver right now. New West Environmental Partners, right here in the city, just had a great film fest, have been driving this issue locally. No More Coal Experts, an online archive of all the events and public meetings and hearings. Super important to have a record of this because no one else is going to keep it for us but ourselves. Pebble in the Pond Environmental Society, up in Powell River, doing great work as well from that end to fight this battle. Sierra Club BC and Sierra Club Malsapina, both on board with fighting the coal issue. Vancouver Eco-Socialist Group, because we know that the changes we need to make are fundamental and deep, and we're not going to get them by fighting one battle at a time. The Vancouver Quaker Meeting, because, you know, it comes down to citizens doing what is morally right, because we have to stand up for our future. V.A.P.O.R, the group that's fighting the crazy plan to ship jet fuel up the Fraser River on tankers to serve the airport. That's absurd, and these guys are taking it on. Other supporters like the BC Nurses Union that just wrote a fantastic letter to Communities in Coal saying our 40,000 members don't support this plan to build a coal port. With that kind of support, we can't lose. So I'm saying that because we all have common cause and common concerns, and that's about taking back our port. We're fighting the same fight. So we're going to hear from some of the folks who are on the front lines of this fight shortly. But first I want to introduce another local climate change fighting duo from here in New Westminster, our local MPs, Peter Julian and Finn Donnelly. They're also some of the first elected representatives to take on this issue, and we thank them for that.
So welcome everybody. We're the two members of Parliament from New Westminster, and actually our two ridings are divided right in the middle of the crowd. Everyone in the back is in Burnaby, New Westminster. That's the west part of New Westminster, and everyone behind us
is in my riding.
New Westminster, Coquitlam. So 2 MPs, we have our MLA, Judy Darcy, as Jamie McAvoy mentioned, and pretty well the entire City of New Westminster Council, and our voices are all united to say to the Port Metro Vancouver, you're not listening to us, you're not consulting us, and you're not going to ram through this project over our objections. Now, they started a few months ago when all of us, the City of New Westminster, the Mayor and Council, our MLA, 2 MPs, we simply asked what we thought was a pretty reasonable thing. We said to Port Metro Vancouver, you know, you should really be consulting the public on this. Not a big question, but their response was, oh yeah, we'll be consulting the public. Over in Surrey, we're going to have an open house for a few hours. So we got together, and working with Judy Darcy, working with the City of New Westminster, we put together a public consultation that was held in the month of May. Anyone here attend that consultation? Yeah, wonderful. Well, we had 300 people out. 95% of the folks there said, no, this project can't be rammed through like this. There has to be public consultation. That message from New Westminster was clear and unambiguous. And so, what was the result? Well, what we have from Port Metro Vancouver is they held their little open house, and now they are saying that because we held this consultation in New Westminster, they've done their public consultation. Well, what we're saying is very clearly this. 95% of the people who come out to a public meeting say, no, don't ram through this project, then that is a pretty clear consensus of the community, and you should be listening to it. And it's part of a broader, deeper, disturbing trend. How Port Metro Vancouver is acting and how it is showing disrespect for the residents of this area and this community is part of how the government's acting overall. In 2012, Mr. Harper basically eliminated environmental assessments from, and this is from the Environment Commissioner, from 99% of the projects that would normally be subject to an environmental assessment. They eliminated public consultation. And so what we're seeing is a broader crisis. It's a crisis of accountability, and it's a crisis of democracy. That's what this government is doing. And what we're saying is, as citizens, we are standing up for our democracy, we are standing up for public consultation, and we are saying to Port Metro Vancouver and to the boss of Port Metro Vancouver, ultimately Stephen Harper in Ottawa, start listening to the public, start consulting with us. Do not ram through these projects over our objections.
Just to add to what Peter has said, first of all, I'd like to acknowledge that we're on the traditional territory of the Kakite First Nation and the Coastal First Nations. Thank you to the First Nations for doing the work that they do. Thank you to the City of New Westminster for the work that you're doing. Thank you to our MLA, Judy Darcy, for standing up. Thank you for all of you for coming out today, for all the organizations who are standing up for the Fraser River, for good, clean, healthy living. Thank you for coming out and lending your voice to this important issue. Now, Peter spoke to you as our natural resource critic for the official opposition, the New Democrats. I am the Deputy Fisheries and Oceans critic for the West Coast, and this is a pretty important river. The Fraser River is one of the world's greatest salmon rivers. It's right here in our backyard. Now, I got to know this river quite well. As some of you may know, I've swam the length of this river, 1,400 kilometers, twice. So I am passionate about the health of this river, and I know there are so many people here that are passionate about the health of this river. We're also passionate about the health of our communities. We recognize that we need jobs. We need good quality jobs. We need good industry to keep our economies going and our communities healthy. But we recognize that it's a balance. It cannot just be one thing over the other. That means our environment is critical. It cannot be left out at the expense of moving ahead with projects that are only focused on one thing, profit and money. We recognize that that's an important factor in communities and healthy communities across the country along the Fraser. But it is one element. And one of the things that Kevin said earlier, this river is bringing so many organizations together. And that's what we need. Peter talked about consultation. The Harper government is going in the opposite direction. It is not listening to the people along the rivers, in the communities, in this country. So consultation is critical. The Harper government is also going in the opposite direction of taking care of our environment. Peter talked about the Canadian Environmental Assessment Act and what they have done to that act. Well, I just want to mention the Fisheries Act, which is one of the most important pieces of legislation in this country, and it has been gutted. And that is shameful, because that piece of legislation is what is protecting our salmon. And they were very, very strategic about how they went in and gutted that piece of legislation. They went in and chopped out 2 words out of that whole act: protect habitat. They got rid of that. When you protect the habitat of the fish, you can do almost anything to destroy the fish and the magnificent salmon that live and make this river what it is. So we need to fight back. We need to take a stand on projects that do not make sense, that are not in line with a healthy community, with a healthy Canada. It starts with rallies like this, speaking out, sending a message to the port and to the Harper government that we do not accept these projects. Thank you everyone for being here. You're an important voice in this fight. Keep going. Keep it up. Thank you very much.